Good afternoon. My name is Jay.
My name's Chris.
Today's date is June 15th, 2020. The title of my page is Question Everything. Today's subject is about our nationality. First, I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about myself and where I was raised up at, just a little background on me. So I'm 50 years old. I was born January the 8th, 1970, back in the Midwest. I grew up in Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Newark, New Jersey, and Philly. I now reside in Seattle. In my 50 years on this earth, like I said, I was born January 1970. At birth, my nationality on my birth certificate said color. Within 10 years or so, not exactly to the T, but 10 years later or so, I became an Afro-American. And then another 10 years or so after that, I was classified as black. And now for the last 10 years or so, I've been an African-American. So let me explain to you how I got to where I am now. 3 years ago, when I was 47, I was sitting up at home one day watching the National Book of Treasures, a movie with Nicolas Cage. And in this movie, he stole the Declaration of Independence. And out of my curiosity, I pulled up the Declaration of Independence and I read it. And when I first read it, I guess I must have been reading too fast and I didn't pick up on a lot of things. It just seemed like just a lot of words to me. Then I read it again. I felt like it must be very important if he was stealing the national treasure, the Declaration of Independence. So I figured it must be something to it. So I reread it again. This time when I read it, I can't remember if it was in the 13th or the 14th Amendment, but here's something I came across. First, there exists no nation of black Americans, nor is there a black America in any documented record the world over. Black Americans are what is referred to in law as misnomer's, or collectively misnomer's. As you well know, grammatically, black is an adjective and is not a proper noun. Socially and politically, black implies silver mortis, which means dead in the eyes of the law. Black American is not a nationality, nor is it a nation. Therefore, black has no political interest nor powers in the free national constitution that was prepared for all free nation beings.
So it's written in the Constitution that we have no power.
So I think a lot of people will get caught up on the word black.
That's a color.
Black is a color, but the black isn't the issue with that. Basically, you have to channel in on what it's saying, and it's basically saying if you don't have a nationality,
correct,
you don't have any rights.
No power.
Black, green, purple, plaid, it don't matter. Those are all colors. Those are not nationalities. A nationality is the land you come from. Chinese or come from China. You know, Mexicans come from Mexico. Puerto Ricans, Puerto Rico. Cubans, Cuba. So black and African American is not a nationality. So I'm not gonna.
So what is our nationality?
Our nationality here in this country, we are the natives, the aborigines. Christopher Columbus made his journeys to the Americas in the 1500s. And
5 civilized tribes.
he recorded in his documents accurate information to what his eyes were seeing at that time. When he arrived in Belize, he classified his people as copper-colored natives. Same color as you and I, copper color. When he got to Panama, same thing, copper-colored natives. When he got to Puerto Rico, copper-colored natives. When he arrived in Cuba, copper-colored natives. He reported to Queen Isabella that these were the children of Queen of Sheba, which was a black woman. These is in his documents. This is not what Jay is saying. This is what Christopher Columbus had to say. I'm just reiterating. When he arrived on these islands, he captured people, took possessions, and learned a line of communication with these people.
Why did he do that?
It was something that happened. I don't know if he had intentions on making this line of communication, but somehow they got over their language barrier to a certain degree, and people were willing to cooperate with him. They were friendlies. They didn't understand violence. They didn't have wars. So when he arrived, they were peaceful. They gladly gave him something to eat, gladly put shelter over his head, not expecting the worst to happen to him. So when Christopher Columbus got over to Puerto Rico and Cuba and the Panama area, the natives on those islands told him, oh yeah, we don't mess with them people over there. Them people over there, they come over here and they beat us up and they take what they want, you know? And these will be your Haitians and your Dominicans. They were already there. Unlike the story they told us in school with this Atlantic slave trade. I'm not saying that the Atlantic slave trade didn't happen. It just didn't happen the way they say it happened. My brother here asked me a couple of minutes ago about the 5 civilized nations. Well, according to them, the 5 civilized nations are all right here on what they call the United States and what we call Turtle Island. So, on this land, we had one brother, which was Reuben. In Mexico, we had another brother. That's why you have all the black statues, the big-headed man with the full lips and the broad nose in Mexico. I was just in Mexico about 2 years ago. When I got down there, I seen some brothers that looked like you and I. I figured they was from America, so I go to talk to them, and they were Mexicans, born and raised there. Their descendants were from there. They hadn't moved there from here to there. They were from there. And they looked just like you and I. They didn't look like these cats we see running around, short, pale skin, straight, stringy hair. They had coarse hair, brown complexion, very brown and dark skin complexion. The third brother was in Cuba. Another brother was in Puerto Rico. These were your 5 civilized nations. The 5 brothers that traded amongst one another. The Haitians and the Dominicans were there, but we didn't do business with these guys, even though these are our brothers. And we're all brothers from a biblical aspect. In the Bible, God told Abraham he was going to spread his seeds that were not yet born from his loins all over 4 corners of the earth. With that being said, we was here when they got here. We didn't come over here on no slave ships. I'm going to just touch on that real quick here. The slave ship issue. We have dinosaurs in the museums. You know? They can find the Titanic at the bottom of the Red Sea in a block of ice. But you don't have no slave ships nowhere to prove this Atlantic slave trade. They lasted for 465 years. It should be a slave ship in every city, state, and county in this country. Every other white person will be sticking their chest out. My great-great-granddad was the captain of that ship. Just like they want to boast and brag about these statues around here. That was my great-grandfather. They're proud of this heritage. Proud of these slave owners, proud of these colonizers. They will be proud of these slave ships. Yeah. By the 1800s, steel was in production. They were making steel ships. Don't you believe, for their prized possession, they would have steel ships to make sure these aren't sinking? All right, so I'm going to move forward past that. When I was a little kid in the single digits, my grandmother used to always tell me, yeah, boy, we're natives. We're not colored. We're natives. And I would look at my granny and think to myself, yeah, right, granny, you don't know what you're talking about. I never confronted my grandmother with my feelings, but the TV had my attention more than my grandmother. I used to sit up and watch the cowboy and Indians with my grandfather, and we didn't look anything like them people, so I thought my granny didn't know what she was talking about. So I'm getting ready to prove it to you right now that we are the original natives that they encountered. The white people arrived in this country in August of 1619. The first census was done 1790. That's 171 years. On this original census, these people, the white people, were on what we call the 13 colonies. That means they haven't stepped foot past Louisiana. At this particular time frame, from 1690 up until the 1800s, Louisiana ran from the Gulf of Mexico up to what we call Minnesota today. Minnesota didn't exist back then. The census was done in 1790. On this census, it said free man, 16 and over, white male. Next category said white male, 16 and under, freeman. The next category said slave. The next category said mulatto. The final column said freeman. And on these census, it elaborated who these freemen were. These were the natives. They tell you to fill out this census record today so that you will have an elective, a representative to represent you. Where's our representative? Where's our electives? We was on that original census, you know, and it elaborated that these were natives that they were speaking of. I'm not just saying freemen to say it. They elaborated on this census that these were natives that they were talking of. Now imagine this. They all told you about how the runaway slaves would go run and hide with the natives and blend in. They try and trick you and fool you and tell you you part native, you half native. Well, listen to this here. If the guy that's at the casino today, pale face, stringy hair, the Mongoloid, if he was the native that they were speaking of,
We couldn't blend in.
we wouldn't be able to blend in.
That's right.
We couldn't run over and go hide with them, and the slave catchers couldn't recover us because we would stand out like a sore thumb. We don't look anything like them. But if the natives look just like the slaves, it will be easily for the slaves to run away and go hang out with the natives, and the slave catchers couldn't identify them. Why? Because they look just alike. Is there anything I missed on that?
It's the same people.
They were the same people, more or less. They looked alike anyway. You know, I'm not saying that the Atlantic slave trade did not happen. I'm just saying it did not happen
The way they said.
the way they tell the story. We are the descendants of Reuben on this here soil. One tribal nation, not five like they try and tell you. Today, if you Google tribal nations, it's 123 nations. I say it's 117 fake nations.
What about the canoes? 80 people in the canoes.
So, when these white people started stealing land, they came up with what was called Homestead Acts. And they invited more immigrants with an eye to move over to this soil. And they had what was called Homestead Acts. And these Homestead Acts were part of the natives' treaties. They were the natives' treaties. And it's not that they were a part of it. They were the natives' treaties. When you read the Constitution, every article is tied to a treaty that they wrote. Every treaty they wrote, they broke. So they had to write a new article.
So the peace treaties with the natives and the Homestead Acts are the exact same thing, or are they modifications?
They're modifications. An article is a modification of a treaty.
So the treaties were abolished completely?
No, not at all. They're modified. And here's how, when they modified them, someone inherited that modified treaty. We didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
The person at the casino got it. So.
And the person from the casino is from where?
Mongolia.
And where's Mongolia located?
In Asia. And they migrated here via the Bering Strait. So look here. From 1619 to August 31st, 1803, these white people had not stepped foot off these 13 colonies.
So that means they didn't voyage past that. So the rest of the Turtle Island they didn't discover. Correct?
Correct. They had not stepped foot past Louisiana.
So they couldn't have did a proper census.
Correct. The census that they did only included the people on this 13 colonies. When Lewis and Clark made their expedition, August 31st, 1803, who did they run into in the forest? Pocahontas. Pocahontas cut a deal with them. Look, you and your people get me over to my people safely, and me and my people will get you and your people where it is you're trying to get to safely. I keep saying safely and emphasizing on safely. What's this safely about? Well, for the last 171 years or so, we done sat over here just west of Louisiana watching you white people wreak havoc. We are prepared for you. So when Lewis and Clark made their journey back to the East Coast, they informed the people that they worked for about all this territory, all the land. Oh yeah, and it's a whole nother body of people out there. They're pale faced, stringy hair. Basically, there are descendants. We're related to them. If we hook up and collaborate with them, we can defeat these natives. In 1 year alone, between 1619 and this original census of 1790, in 1 year, they had over 200 wars on this soil with the natives. The guy at the casino ain't never had a treaty signed for him. Why is that? Because he was not around. They didn't know he existed. All of the original treaties were written on the 13 colonies with the original natives. The guy at the casino is a co-conspirator of identity theft. Everyone has a nationality. These white people, they have a nationality and it is not white. White is a Crayola color.
Or European.
They are Caucasians. They try and refer to themselves as Europeans. That's them having an identity crisis. They are Caucasians. The root word of Caucasian is Asian. Caucasian. In the Bible, Abraham had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. He birthed Ishmael by Hagar. Ishmael started the Muslim nation. Our Creator made a covenant with Ishmael. Isaac was born by Sarah. Our Creator made a covenant with Abraham and Isaac's descendants. Isaac married Rebekah. Rebekah birthed two nations. Rebekah went to our Creator in the King James Bible, and she tells the Creator, God, there's a war going on inside of my belly. I don't know what's going on. And God tells her, you're going to birth two nations, Jacob, thy I love, and Esau, I hateth, and any and everything that comes from him. Do not make any covenants with these people. Now that's heavy, because he's telling this to this boy's mama. She got to birth this child. Rebekah listened to her Creator. She followed the script. You have to read the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob came out second after his brother Esau came out holding his heel. Esau was born red and furry all over. What I figure is 2,500 years ago, we did not have a 64-pack of Crayola crayons. So your descriptions, your colors will be very basic. Black, blue, yellow, orange, green, red. You wouldn't know to say pink or lavender or pastel 2,500 years ago. So with that being said, Jacob comes back and claims the throne. Even though he's the second born, he tricks his brother out of his inheritance. His mom, Rebekah, co-conspirator in the swindle, but the swindle went down. The younger brother stole the older brother's birthright. He becomes the king of Israel. His name is no longer Jacob, his name is Israel. All of the people that are born behind him are Israelites. Esau migrates to the land of Edom. The land of Edom is located in the Caucasus Mountains. These people become Edomites in the Bible. I'm not calling them out of their name. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm only telling you the truth. I don't gain anything out of misleading you. I am not your Revy Rev. I am not asking for donations. The truth should have been free your whole life. Should have never cost you a dime. Let's see. Guess that's about it, my good people. I will see you on my next video. Feel free to comment, ask as many questions as you choose. I will answer as many as I can. I need you to like, subscribe, and share this video. There's more to come. Anything I tell you, I can back up. The doctrine of discovery, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they're doing what they're doing to us right now today. Is where the world was separated into. You take this half from Portugal on down. You take this half from Europe on down. Your Roman Catholic Church did that. On this land of discovery, the law reads, you have the right to kill, steal, rape, and pillage. Last time I checked, that's exactly what these white people have been doing for centuries. Raping, killing, stealing, and pillaging. Sounds like the law that she wrote. Check us out next time, people. Thank you for your time, and hit me up with all the comments. Subscribe to my channel and share and like our video. Thank you.